Hey, Tom.
Hello, how's it going?
Not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad.
Oh, good to have you.
Yeah, good to be here. Sorry, I had a work call, like day job work call that was running over. So,
Yeah, I already shared. It's all good. It's all good.
okay.
Have
Right,
you
let me
have,
bring
yeah, open up the forum and we can do a nice opening up of this AMA. We have 31 participants right now, so welcome all. Good that you joined. And thank you for submitting the questions. We're gonna run by them all, I think. If there are any
sudden loads have been added in the last minute or so. We should have time to go through them.
it's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Cool.
So, Tom, what do you think? I'll just go through the list and I'll ask them and you answer?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
There's some on there for you, so we can mix and match. But yeah.
For me? Oh, no.
I know. Anna? Yeah, and also is Martin? Yes, is he?
Yeah.
Yes.
I am.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, cool. Well, I've tagged some of them on the little bit, so there's some that will probably pertain to you more than me, but we can sort of go through them.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's go then. One of the first questions is already pointed towards me. Tess has been hinting at being in touch with a well-known name in crypto that is from the Everrise team. Any hints on that? Yes and no. I've been speaking to or looking to hire maybe a marketing manager since I got ill last week, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe we need some sort of backup in case this happens again. And I'd like to focus more on the strategic part and the business development. So we've reached out to a pretty known name, and he's actually keen on working with Earnable, but there's a big but. He is really expensive, and this is something we have been like negotiating and talking about. Like, is it worth it, or are there things we can do from within the community more, or just looking at how to strategically plan the budget so we get to do all the things we want. So not really an update, but this is as much as I can tell you. So they're a bit hard. You'd like to add anything, Tom, or you think this is...
No, I think that pretty much covers it, to be honest. And it sort of runs on to the next question, which is lots of activity in the Rise Telegram about Earnable. They were even chatting about you guys in voice chat, and that's that. I think that we just have a good sort of voice with Everrise in the same way that they, I think, like our sort of project ambitions and goals. So I think going forward, we're aiming to do a lot more sort of stuff with them if they'll accept us. Obviously, they are the bigger token, and generally the way it works in crypto is that the bigger token has priority say over working together. So if they're willing, we'll be taking every opportunity to work with them. I think they're a great token, and I like the leadership there. I mean, I've been speaking to their sort of senior guys and a bit more about, let's do some work together outside of Everown, and let's just try and work together a bit more. And generally, these sort of good tokens who are honest in the BSC space, let's all work together as much as possible to have a nice time and sort of secure investors as much as possible. Because I mean, we hate to see like big rug pulls and big honeypots and all sorts of stuff as much as you guys hate to be in them. So we're just looking to try and secure the space and make it as safe as possible for investors.
That is true. So there is one that has like several questions, so I'm just gonna start with the first. When can we expect the updates for the website? That sounds horrible. When can we expect the updates for the website, dashboard, etc. to be released? I think this is for Mark. Mark's still here.
Sorry, I was double muted.
Oh.
Yeah, I have my headset, which has a mute on in there as well. So yeah, we haven't set any specific dates for launch yet. Part of that has been around how we were going to do like a beta release and things like that. So now that we are launching out the NFTs, that will help at least identify for me to kind of see where and how we're going to set up that beta launch. So just to kind of give a little bit of background, when I first started taking on the web and some of that stuff, our idea was to kind of get an initial website refresh and launch by the beginning of September. So we are still aiming around that. But as we start kind of finalizing some of these pieces, some content, the beta portions of this, we'll have a more finalized like timeline of when that actual launch window will happen. And just because of some of the other functionality that we've been working to add into the dashboard, that'll follow shortly after. So, and some of it will be kind of run in tandem with the current site. So we're not like extending it to the point where if there is any bugs, it's going to create any issues, because you'll still be able to access the main website while we're working those things out. And then we'll do a full launch following that. So hopefully that helps explain a little bit. But yeah, now that we have the NFTs going and that latest one, the Diamond Earner, with a little bit of a beta preview access part of that, that'll definitely get us to that next level, and we'll be able to roll that out. Be a lot more streamlined too.
Yeah, exactly. And as we go forward into doing more and more sort of not as well represented stuff that's done before. So, you know, a few websites have claiming and stuff. So that means that if we have issues, there's more solutions out there and there's more examples to use. And as we go further down the line of doing more and more first time stuff, if we have issues or we run into problems that maybe just takes us a little bit longer to fix, it just slows down the timeline. So, you know, that idea of picking rewards and stuff, it's a great idea, and we're working on doing it. It just starts to take a little bit longer if we do run into issues, or, you know, we're having a problem with this error. It's unprecedented. So it can take a little bit of time to sort that side of things. So we need to be
exactly.
Sort of reserved around giving timelines, because it can just sort of delay us.
Nice. So the second question is a little bit similar, but it's about exchanges. When can we expect the exchange listings, and how many exchanges are you currently in talks with?
Sure. So, well, we're speaking to a few. I couldn't actually really name how many there are, because it's all a bit of a muddle around how it all works. But one thing that slows us down is that they are actual businesses. So unlike me and Tess and Mark and Mike, we're just people who are here on our laptops working whenever, really. But one thing that slows us down is the fact that exchanges are businesses and they operate actual hours, including not working weekends and that side of things. So it's a slow process. Number two is because we have sort of a custom contract, which isn't as seen in big exchanges. You know, although Olympus is listed, there's not that many of our sort that have been listed. So it takes me, first off, we have to go through all of the sort of negotiations to see if it's possible in terms of pricing and fit and that side of things. And then we have an extra side of the technicality of it. So it is a little bit more complicated than your average sort of listing, but I'm not willing to give timeframes around when it's going to happen. Just know that it's an active thing. There's one thing that's standing in the way first, and that's an audit, which we're looking to cross that off very soon. And then we have, once audited, then we can look at doing obviously exchanges and stuff. So we're actively pursuing it as a goal, and that's kind of what I'm doing. So that's one of the things I mainly do during the day, is look for audits and work with the audit guys and do exchanges and do that side of things, as well as just general running. So we're definitely looking for exchanges, and which ones. My goal is to get the biggest one possible. Obviously, Olympus is listed with Gate.io. Gate.io does have some problems for us. One, that Olympus, you might not notice, but Olympus is backed by Bogged. So, you know, it's basically the same owners, and that effectively means they're rich. So we can cut it however we like. We don't have Olympus money. I don't know how much they earn on Bogged, but I can tell you it's a significant amount. And I've applied to be with Gate.io, and I've had some Telegram messages back, but we're waiting to see for them to draw up a quote and see actually how long and how much it would cost for us to do before we can even sort of say we'll be looking at that sort of size, because at that point it starts getting into a lot. And if you go onto their website, they do say, oh, it doesn't cost anything well, that's actually fake, because you have to, one, provide X amount of liquidity, and liquidity is always given in matching amount of token and BNB. So if they want $300,000 worth of BNB, that just outright rules it out, because we just don't have that much BNB. And to be honest with you, our current market cap, we don't have that many tokens. So it has to be a balance of getting the right size exchange at the right point in our sort of timeline. So we're actively pursuing it though. So hopefully we'll have some news around that soon.
Maybe we can give an update also on the swap.
SokuSwap, yeah. So SokuSwap, I've been speaking with the guy. They seem all good. It's quite formal, so we have a contract. I have to sign that. I'm just making sure it all looks okay. And then exactly the same as the way it works, although it's a free listing, we have to provide liquidity. So there's a good example of how it generally works. You know, you've got free listing in terms of fees, but we do have to provide, I think it's a fair few thousand, pretty much getting into double-digit thousands of BNB and also tokens. So yeah.
All right, thank you. They asked as well, can we expect farming and staking to be available with Earnable in the near future?
Near future depends on what you call near. That side, we have imminent goals we're working towards, which are websites, dashboards, exchanges, audits, and general growth. I would say for me, staking and farming is a much further down the line thing, and something that we would be looking at, but not quite yet. To be honest with you, the complexity of doing it and the expense of doing it is something that we can't really do right now. Not to say we don't want to do it. I'd love to have that sort of thing in place, because I think it brings a whole new field of investors to the project. But for this time right now and this second, I just think it's a little bit far-fetched. But not to say we're not thinking of it, and I know Mike's really keen on that side of things. So in the future, we'll hopefully be able to put his knowledge around that to good use and get something in place. But in near future, coming months, coming couple months, I would say I wouldn't hold your breath for it. But not to say we're not thinking of it.
So the next question is, can we get a marketing update on marketing budget, marketing goals and objectives, and what is the team currently doing in the area to push the exposure of this token to the public? That's a big question. I think a lot of it is actually already kind of answered, because we really focus on the exchanges. They bring us volume, but we have to obviously work towards it. That's why we launched the NFTs as well, to get more of the marketing budget in outside of the volume. And of course, we have the Cryptoken Media, who is doing the banner ads. They are still live. We have YouTube influencers. We have the press releases. We'll be on newsletters. And besides that, we of course always host raids, host contests. We have a shilling bot that's active a lot of the times, who shills messages in all kinds of places. So there's like an ongoing marketing plan behind it to push, and I'm sure you notice it when we give it an extra boost, let it be on Twitter. And right now our focus is more pointed towards the US in terms of the traffic from our banners, because we'd like to expand in the US a little bit more, so we have more activity during our nights as well. So that's pretty much all from my side. Do you have anything to add, Tom?
Just that marketing is one of those things that, while it's not visual to you, that doesn't mean it's not happening. So obviously we get quite a lot of questions and statements, to be honest, around marketing maybe not being there where it should, but that kind of means it's working, because we have it out there in the public and it's running along. We can tell you that marketing's expensive when we're doing it, because we see a massive cash flow out of us, as opposed to coming in when we do heavy marketing. And that's one of the reasons we have Cryptoken Media, is because they can optimize it to the way that's best, and that they see in these other projects. They have clients and projects which are far, far bigger than us, 20, 30 times bigger. And that means that they have experience over what's worked for them and what's been sort of the best method for these other large use tokens, and that's good to see. Some tokens are going to be different from others. You know, we have a element to us which people do need to know how it works logging onto the website, having MetaMask. So it's not as easy as, say, owning, you know, Doge or something on Binance. There's an extra step and an extra layer. So we just have that extra bit to work around in terms of marketing to the right people who are going to understand what we're doing and how to do it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good talk. Okay, moving on to the next question. The investor may be afraid because the supply is high. Are you planning to burn?
No. I currently have no plans to burn because still no one's really given me a real point about why it's good. People in all tokens, well, in a lot of tokens, it's used as a sort of, woo, we're going to burn, price is going to go up. But you know, you don't actually see that many examples of that working. And a lot of times it just means you get an annoying amount of tokens left. And then it comes on to the point of where are we getting the tokens to burn from? You know, is like, obviously everyone wants us to put the tokens forward, but that doesn't really work because we either lose our wallets as developers or we use the marketing wallet, which means we'll get less rewards, or we use you guys' wallet and we burn some of your tokens. But obviously you wouldn't like that. So there's a whole spiel around not only where does the burn come from, but is it even worth doing? So I'm not a massive fan of it purely because I actually like the fact we have a nice round number at the moment. We're constantly doing calculations around, you know, what are you going to earn or how much are people going to earn, and you know, that side of things. And also a lot of our calculations are based on percentage of supply. So it just creates a nice round number that you can work out 1.5% is 1.15 trillion tokens or whatever it may be. It creates a nice number for you to use in your sort of calculations and to remember. You already have loads of stuff to remember and you can easily remember our supply and your percentage. And I just think it's a nice number for working out the daily volume and working out your rewards. And yeah, but I'm not opposed to a burn. So don't get me wrong. If someone can come up with a good reason and a good use case and a good example of where a burn has been like genuinely project defining to the point where its inclusion is a fantastic result and a fantastic sort of thing that's happened, then I'm more than happy to. We have the ability to. We just need an example and a use case of why it's really good. So yeah, I'm not opposed to it. But I don't think people should be afraid of the supply because at the end of the day, 10 tokens at 10 cents is the same as $1. So, you know, there's no real difference in terms of how it works and the supply being high. If we had one token, you would all just have a very small amount of that token as opposed to having lots of tokens. So I don't necessarily understand the idea around people being so scared of supply. You just need to understand that price to supply isn't necessarily what matters. It's the market cap as a total amount. You just have a percentage of that market cap. So yeah, I'm not. That's the message.
And I can actually give you a reason why burning is not a good idea in supply that we have. So when, like, if you burn, you just can't burn to value, if that makes sense. Like where we're sitting right now, if you just burn tokens and gain value out of it, you're going to see an influx of sells. People will get excited, they'll see that, they'll cash out, and then we're back where we started. But then when, you know, we buy back in, we're just going to have less supply. Now that might push the price up faster, but then where we're at with, you know, our volume, it's just, we're just not going to be able to get there. So you just can't burn to value, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that if tokens are running out of options and their prices are dropping and their holders are getting annoyed, I mean, I'm sure you will see it on red days. The chat is a lot more negative than on green days. And if you have constant red days and constant like negative days, token developers and token sort of owners will look for a way to change it positive. And one way of doing that is we're going to burn, the price will go up. And that's, you know, that's why you see a lot of tokens doing it, because on red days, it's an easy way to sort of resolve that. And maybe, you know, but at the end of the day, as I've said, it's down to if we can find a good point to actually do it, then I'm down to. But yeah.
You? If they do not buy and sell in the long run, how will you earn BNB to the investor?
I think it means like if our volume is stagnant, how would we get rewards? Well, the general sort of worry is, when we have everyone in, how do we get volume? Because everyone will own the token. But that's a long way off, because at the moment we have a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the total amount of holders in BSC. And then do I think it'll ever be stagnant? I don't think so, because people will always need to realize gains and sell their investments. Maybe people want to buy a car, or they'd like to go for dinner or something, or whatever it is. That, you know, that money might be taken from Earnable, and that's the fact is that that will create a sell, which creates volume. So while volume might go up and down, as you see over the last couple of weeks, we've gone from massive amounts of volume to a small amount of volume. But one thing's for sure is there always is some volume, because now we have, I think it's getting on for 6,500 holders. It only takes one of those 6,000 holders to sell, and you'll have some volume in a day. Not to say we'll have lots, but you know, that's a different sort of story. So just through marketing and just general crypto market, people will buy and sell on a daily basis, but we can drive that with marketing and that side of things. So that does affect it.
And I can add to that too. So a lot, because I've seen this question a lot in the Telegram. Everyone's like, if all of the supply is taken up, well, if all the supply is taken up, that means our value in our wallets is skyrocketed. And surely there's going to be a percentage of people that once their wallets have exploded because there's no more tokens to buy and everyone's just hanging on to them, there will be sellers. You know, because I know if my wallet goes from $3,000 to $90,000, I would probably cash out some of my value. Not gonna lie. I mean, it just makes sense.
Yeah, and also the way a liquidity pool works is that it's not the amount of tokens that are in there, it's the ratio. So we might get to the point where it's 0.0001% of 1% of a token in there. That means our price would be up here, because they'll always go like that. So the idea is that as the BNB value gets higher, the amount of tokens gets lower, but you don't reach zero. You just sort of get higher and higher, and there's more and more. So the ratio is out of line, so the price would rise. So yeah.
Good answer. So when do you specifically plan to be listed with Gate.io outside of SokuSwap? Do you have a clear guess? Because this is necessary for volume.
Yeah, it's necessary for volume, but we can't give. I mean, at this point, I've submitted an application and I've spoken to them a couple of times via Telegram. It's almost impossible to say if we'll be listed and when we'll be listed, because those are two very dependent questions. We could go right to the very end of the step and they say, okay, you can afford to list here, we want you, but we need 50% of the supply based on your market cap to support our liquidity amounts, in which case we physically can't do that, because me and Tess don't have 50% of the supply between us. So it's a balance of, can we actually support their liquidity goals as a final step? So as a big exchange, they need a lot of tokens and a lot of value to support the amount of people in using Gate.io. So yeah, I can't really answer that to the level that you're expecting me or want me to the point where it's like next week we will list there, but I can say we're looking to list in exchanges around that size, if at all possible, in the coming future.
Yes. Please do not defraud someone who truly trusts you and invest with your last money after losing all of his money. I love you and the work you do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at this point we've come to the point, we've been up higher than where we are now, and we're in here chatting to you guys. I hope that you feel some confidence around the project and its sort of general viability. Obviously, can't secure or know anything, but one thing's for sure is that me and Tess are sort of here for the long haul.
Yeah. And of course, love you too. Always important. Would you consider putting some analytics on the website, such as available token percentage in liquidity pool or web mentions as a total?
Yes, I like the idea, and we will do that.
That's very quick.
We'll even look at Telegram stats too.
Yeah, I think it's just a nice idea to show, the sort of what's happening with a token on first landing. The only thing we don't want to do is make it so that when you land on, there's loads of numbers, which people might not understand, because not everyone understands the idea of liquidity pools and that side of things. So it's a balance of having it readily available, which is interesting to see, and it being there. So, yeah.
Did you have anything to add, Mark?
Just, yeah, I mean, kind of what you've already touched on, but my only thought on the website of it is we just want to make sure that there's security in place from perspective if we're integrating like Google Analytics and like their API. We don't want to compromise any of that data as well. So security will be a forefront.
Nice, good. Let me see. Now that we have completed a month with Earnable, how do you access your progress? Are you satisfied with how things are going, or you would have liked to do something different?
I think it's going great. The one thing that is tough is you can't base yourself on the exceptions, and some of these tokens that everyone wants us to be and wants to see the same sort of gains are exceptions. That is just the way it works. So like SafeMoon, I'm sure every single person in this call would like to see SafeMoon level of returns in SafeMoon level, but SafeMoon is the exception. And you can see that in the way that it's one of the biggest BSC tokens out there. So as if we draw a line under the average token, I'd say we're doing great. We've got a great amount of holders after 1 month. We've got, a good community who sort of support and love the project. You can see that in the chat that it's almost always, well, most of the time it's positive. We're working with sort of actual businesses around marketing. We've got good sort of relationships with other tokens in the space. So yeah, I think it's going great. Obviously it's tough because we'll always have people who made $1 million out of SafeMoon say, well, you guys aren't rising at all. But really we are, if you think about it. We've gone from what was a $4,000 market cap starting to a 1.4 million, now 2 million. Those are exponential gains and returns and rewards over nearly $650,000 have been handed out between 6,000 people. That's amazing. So yeah, I think really good.
Oh, go ahead.
Go on, Mark. It's okay.
Okay. I was just going to say the other part of that is even with the growth, I mean, it's been really healthy and organic, but it also shows that we have a lot of people in here that are really true diamond hands. I mean, I've seen a lot of projects where the slightest thing it just dumps like crazy. And I mean, there are days where like we just have that really good price floor and people just don't want to sell. So I think we're going to continue to see that and continue to grow. I mean, we've seen new holders coming in by the tens and hundreds over the last week even. So I definitely think we're still seeing that continued growth, but it's very organic and I really like that.
Yeah, I agree. And also, if you look at the team of people we've surrounded us with, that's amazing, really, because back in the day, it was just Mike, Tom, and me, and now we collected like around 20 people who are helping us out on a daily basis, making Earnable stand even stronger and really contribute to the success of Earnable. So I couldn't have dreamed about having such a team as we have now. So I'm really grateful and really proud of that achievement as well. I'm really happy to have you all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Also, he added to this question, and I like this. Also, how do you keep so calm in group chat and voice chat when someone questions team's intention, even after being one of the most transparent projects that we have around?
It's like that thing that the Hulk says, where he's just always there. He's always on. I don't know. It's just one of those things that I'm always been quite good at, is to just sit there and just almost enjoy that it's happening, and then I can just give some sassy feedback. So, yeah, I don't know the necessary method of doing it, but that's something Tess always asks me about: is how do I sit there?
Yeah, he basically told me I'm a stone.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love the fact on that whenever the questions get really tough, you're getting even more on fire. It's almost like it's fuel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one to answer, but I do like it.
I love your sassy side, really. So there's something about percentages. 15, 15% cut is made on each purchase and sale. This prevents trading in the long run. Not being able to trade prevents BNB from winning and may lose its attractiveness in the long run. Do you think of a way to earn the same BNB with less commissions for it? I think this is very important.
No, because we're not one of those tokens where, some of them you see 5% is rewarded, 10% goes to some place, a wallet somewhere, and then 5% as a liquidity. At 15%, we have 13% going into rewards, 1% into liquidity, and 1% into earnable reflections. There's nowhere for it to go. And if we reduce, there's only one way that would happen, is if we reduced the tax, we'd reduce the rewards. And I think the whole point of this token is to be like a passive income reward token. So I don't think we'd be looking to reduce commission, just purely because I'm sure you're enjoying your rewards. Well, what happens if we take away some of those rewards? You might say, well, I want my commission back. So and kind of the whole point is to reduce trading. We want people to invest and then enjoy the rewards and not trade it, because trading is sort of screws with the price, especially on small tokens, like big pairs like USD to the pound, or these massive amounts that you see common trading happening on. They have the liquidity in the market that it doesn't make any difference. But for a small token like us, if we had daily trading, it would really destroy and move the price so much.
So moving on, there is a question about the audit. It says, when can we expect an audit, since most of the marketing wallet is saved for it and exchanges? I was wondering when an audit is realistic. It's a good question.
Yeah, so I've spoken to loads of different audit places, and I've gone through so much auditing stuff recently, and that's kind of what I'm hoping will be from my side, excluding Tess and Mark. The news from my side, I'm hoping the next thing will be an audit. It takes a little bit of time because it hasn't started yet, but hopefully it will start over the next coming weeks. And then it takes 5 days to do it with the people we're going with, because I think it will be good news when it comes out in terms of the supplier of who's doing it. It's like one of the best. We've just had agreement today that they were wanting loads of money, and we managed to haggle them down lower. So they only came back today saying, yes, that sounds great. So I think we're going to go with them. So I'll be pinging the money over to them whenever they sort of send me over the contract. And then we've got a date ready for it to start, which I think is over the next couple of weeks. And then it'll take 5 days and the news will be there. And so, yeah, that's definitely something we're working on to bring.
Which one is that?
I'm not going to say in case it falls through, but I think you will like it, Mark.
Okay, cool.
If you think top 5, one of those top 5 that everyone, a household name in the auditing industry, which is a niche thing to be honest, but almost everyone here will know who it is. I just don't want to promise it in case it falls through and we have to go to someone else.
No, it makes sense.
Cool.
All right. When we claim rewards, where will it shows in USDT section or BNB?
It's done. I like that one so much. I did it this morning. So now if you log onto your wallet on the website, you'll see not only the amount you're going to claim in US dollars, but the total amount that's been claimed. So yeah, that's already done. It's on the website live. So check it out.
You're so fast, Tom.
Well, I was reading through it and I was like, I like that one. I'm going to do it.
Let me see. Okay, hi guys. I'm going to ask a question on behalf of all the new holders / members that always ask this question a lot. What's your opinion about burning tokens? Will it ever happen in the Earnable universe? We answered that one already. It's AMA, so you'll be able to hear it back, or you already heard it. So we can leave the answer on video forever. I don't want to hear about burn anymore.
Yeah, it's something that gets asked a lot, and it's always the same answer for me. I'm not opposed to it. In fact, it would be, it's quite a nice thing that we can have in our repertoire, but I don't want to do it just for no reason. So if someone has a genuinely good reason as to why we should do it, with some good evidence of a good example where it's seen good growth from specifically the burn, then let's do it. But I need to see those things first.
Then again, someone asked, is there any possibility that the website could show the USD conversion of the BNB rewards? Done.
Yeah.
Then the next question.
And the new one will port it.
Yes.
What?
New one as well.
I was just going to say the new dashboard will port that over as well. So
Cool. Nice. Great work. The next question is interesting. Maybe almost a little bit philosophical. I don't know how to say. Do banks and governments affect crypto?
It's hard to tell really, because we don't know what wallets are subject to what thing. I mean, I would be very surprised if, given Bitcoin and Ethereum's popularity, that governments and banks aren't buying up a lot of it. And that's probably why we've seen that massive price rise, is not only because people are buying lots of it in terms of civilians, but also I can almost bet that banks and such are, I mean, I have quite a lot of friends who are in like fund management and that side of things, and I can tell you that they have whole arms dedicated to people buying crypto and stuff. Maybe not like our level of small crypto, but you know, the big ones. And in terms of, does it actually affect, in, you know, for a small, the biggest thing I think link in terms of like regulation is, do you touch real world? So as an example, we won't ever be working with businesses which are like actual, well, we could do if we do prepaid card, but that'd be a good example of when all of a sudden you turn from being unregulated to almost regulated. Because Visa, let's say for instance we had a prepaid card but you can top up with your BNB rewards, we'd be working with Visa or MasterCard or a card provider, and at that point then you start to be a bit more affected by governments and banks because they work with governments and banks. But at the moment we're not really, we're kind of independent. Other than when you withdraw your BNB to your bank, you don't really touch general banking or governments. So it sort of depends on the project.
Yeah, I know though, adding on to that, that whenever I put like, like when I hold in, let's say, a big exchange or big wallet, some of these companies do have to register in your country's government, the amount you hold. That's something I'm a little bit aware of sometimes. Like,
yeah, you still have to do, well, for in the UK anyway, you generally do, each transaction has to be sort of registered, and then if you're pulling it out into real money, obviously you have to pay tax on that. So yes, I suppose you are linked, but in terms of do I communicate with banks and governments? No. It's just we're an unregulated asset that sits almost just to the left of governments and banks. So, yeah.
There is something that I was reading this morning and watched this interview from Vitalik regarding social media. And I know it's not directly connected with our token or anything like that in terms of any regulations, but I think as a whole in the industry, something that we all should probably just keep in the back of our mind. Social media like Facebook and Twitter, they're looking at expanding and growing heavily into the crypto space as well. So I think that could definitely be a good thing. I'm hesitant. Or a very bad thing. I'm more leaning that way. I'm kind of skeptical, just because I don't like seeing some of these big conglomerates put a lot of emphasis on things, and then it kind of can skew like the reality and perspective of it, and it may not be a good thing. So it could also lead to potential negative outlook in crypto in general. So definitely something that's interesting to continue watching and checking it out. I actually shared it, I think, on my Twitter this morning, but it seems even Vitalik is, no shock there, is very skeptical of that as well. So yeah, just thought I'd share it.
Yeah, basic crypto updates here. Nice. It's good to keep an eye on that as well. Okay, which daily volume is used to calculate rewards? Those can massively differ one from the other. DEX can be at 40K, PooCoin at 120K, and CMC at 140K. Can you please advise and explain exactly how it works?
Yeah, so rewards are based on the actual blockchain volume. So when a buy or a sell comes in, it's portioned off and put into a little pot, and that's how it works. So what the rewards are calculated on is the true volume that's actually happening, because it's a portion of a transaction. Everything on everything else is an assumption, and it will depend on how they're calculating it. Personally, I use bogged, but it really depends on what you like using. If your calculations will always be out of line with my calculations. If you don't use bogged, I recommend everyone uses bogged. Their suite is growing really well, and they have all sorts of tools and stuff now. So I like the bogged tools environment, so I use them in terms of working out volume and price and market cap and whatever it is. So really, it just depends. But your rewards are the true amount calculated.
Now, here's a question, because kind of a follow-up to that. Thinking about from the website, since that's one of the most highly sought features is the price estimation type tool and calculators and all that, which one would we want to use? Probably bogged. I haven't looked to see if they have any sort of APIs or not, but
yeah, we'll query the blockchain for the volume.
Okay.
And that will give us the 24-hour, and we'll just use whatever the blockchain tells us is the last 24-hour volume, and that way we can be as true as possible, and we don't have to be reliant on other APIs, so we'll do that.
No, that makes sense. And we could even implement a manual type of a calculator where you can manually put in like an estimated volume, and it would calculate it based off of what you're expecting.
That'd be cool, because a lot of people want to know how much will I make when we have 1 million a day of volume.
Exactly.
So yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, nice. So moving on to the last question of this form. Every time I buy Earn, I noticed, that's a good start, every time I buy Earn, I noticed that amount of my rewards goes up with that particular transaction by 50 cents or $1. Why is that?
It will be because you're buying. So unless you buy and then check it like the same second, if any other transactions come through, obviously your amount is going to rise, as well as you've just bought. And you already own. So if you own one Earn and you buy another Earn, that first Earn is going to accumulate rewards on the one that you've just bought. And then also it's probably a rounding issue. So because the actual figure of BNB is 18 figures long. On the website, it would look really ugly if I had 18 zeros, and that would give you the true amount, but no one wants to know how close it is to 18. So we just round it to the nearest, I think it's 8. So yeah, more than likely it's just jumping up a figure, or it'll be one of those sort of things, but the actual amount that's transferred is the true amount of how much you actually have reflected. So it's just more than anything, just one of those sort of small visual things.
Yeah, nice. Sounds good. Do we have other burning questions for the rounding up from inside?
Yeah, 6 minutes of questions.
Yeah. Let's do a round of live questions. Anyone? If there are any. Maybe we did our job so well today.
Yeah, maybe.
I have a quick question. I actually did have the survey, so I'm not sure if it went through or not. But my question was, the other day in the chat, there was, Rise team coming in saying, we support Earnable. Lots of activity even in their Telegram with regard to, the Ever-Own platform that I believe that they're launching soon. Which obviously, it's awesome to see them support the brand, which is Crate and the token. Does that mean that there's, a timeline maybe possibly that would happen? And then how close, to the Ever-Own platform are they to launching? Or are they just kind of getting the idea if people are actually even considering it?
Yeah, so I think we did sort of answer it earlier because I did see your question come through, but effectively, I like the project and I've been not working with them, but sort of working towards it. And Ever-Own has sort of been the first one where I can get our project name in front of them, because this is why whenever anyone says, oh yeah, I know the people who run this project, I'm always like, yes, message them, because getting our name in front of the devs or whatever is so difficult. Like I've been trying to get in touch with the SafeMoon devs or, these big token devs for months now, and it's almost impossible. It genuinely is almost impossible to reach them. So that was a really good example of where we could fill out a form and they read our name out in their channel and spoke about us. And because of that, I then almost immediately got my response to my Telegram message I sent a couple of weeks ago to their dev, because he heard about us, and it sort of rolls quite quickly. So I mean, I'm willing to take any sort of partnership and work with them that they're willing to give as a big token. They have the majority say, really, because they are much, much bigger than we are. So I don't really have a lot of power in the swing of things. All I know is I like what they're doing, and I like, you know, their sort of general vibe of Everown and Everise and stuff. So yeah, I'm more than happy to work with them and sort of have like a cool cross. I'd like there to be like a group of good BSC tokens that sort of work together and have a group where, you know, we can recommend each other, because going forward we'll need that, because when we want to be I don't want people to be able to take their rewards on our website in like dodgy tokens. So I'll be avoiding everything. So the idea is we'll almost have like our own audit. So it will be something like Earnable, auditable, and it will be, although that's kind of taken by Amazon, but auditable, and we'll have vetted tokens which you can take your rewards in, and those will be safe tokens that we assume are safe and we've done a deep dive into, and it just helps us if we have big tokens which are on board with that and want to be part of it, and we, you know, if we just have tokens we can work together and we can recommend, and that's great, and that's something that I'm sort of hoping to work towards with Everise and Everown and the team there. So I've been speaking to Guard, who I think is their sort of technical and community manager and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm keen to do that side of things if they're willing to take it. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No worries.
I've got one. Fej was another one that you guys wanted to work with, or Feg, or however you say it. Have you heard anything from them?
I think we've been reaching out a little bit. I know Mark's been reaching out on Twitter and stuff. I don't think we've heard anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I really cannot state to you how hard it is to reach these tokens if you're not verified or they don't know about you. It's almost impossible. So anything that we do is great to try and get mentioned. I don't know much about Feg, and all I know is I know there's a lot of copies of the projects, and I know that they maybe do get some bad press amongst them. So I would want to be very careful around making sure that they're the right fit for us, and that, you know, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're great, but I just don't know much about Feg. I know Mark's been sort of trying to speak to them a bit more than me.
Yeah, so they have reached back out to me via Twitter through DM, which I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't expecting them to do that, but yeah, it was directly from their official Twitter account, and they say that an ambassador is going to be in touch. I've also been talking with someone who, on all their Facebook pages and everything, is someone that is considered an ambassador for, I guess, their new FagX stuff, and like what they're trying to do with that program. But I don't know if it's who they'll actually send to us or not. I don't know if because I reached to them on Telegram, but it seemed like the next step was they were going to assign somebody or get somebody in touch with us and start looking at the project and whatnot. And I did submit a form as well to them, so they do have our information on that.
Yeah, there you go. Heard it from the man himself. We're slowly working towards that sort of thing. Any sort of exchange that we can go on from a token point of view is great, because they've been through or we've been through, they understand it. And I can understand why they're all starting up their own exchanges. It's because there's a lot of money to be had in it. So it's a good way to generate revenue for the token. So yeah.
And I'll just say this. Oh, sorry. Yeah, just like with the Soku swap, the Feg, any of these projects, like you were saying, that you can cross promote, get in touch with, all that stuff. It's just good for everybody. And I keep saying this in the Telegram myself, like, my Unify the DeFi thing, that's like really great. We've seen a lot of people come in from those other projects, trying to learn about us. And then of course, they already know about those other, larger tokens. All of that is just good for all of us, I think.
Definitely.
Agreed.
Cool. And then I think, Tessa, do you want to just touch quickly on NFTs, just because I'm sure people want to hear about it?
Yes. Sure. So we are starting the sale of the first NFTs today. It was a nice surprise. I hope you all liked it. We have 3 collectible cards. They have different rarities. I'm sure you have seen them We shared them throughout the day, and they will be for sale shortly. Right after the AMA, we have to press start selling, and then we'll roll it out. For you, it's very easy. You just go on the website. We share the link towards the NFTs. You can buy which one you want to buy, or you can choose the one you want to buy, and then you connect your wallet, you pay, and it's yours. And you belong to the special Earnable collectible card community with the perks that come along, because every card has its own gift. So for the valued earner card, you get an exclusive video from me and Tom, and we'll talk a little bit about our vision and the background, and it's just a nice to have. Then for the solid earner, that's the medium rare card, you will be in an announcement channel where you get some early updates, like a little bit before the actual updates are shared, so you are a little bit earlier, which gives you a slight advantage maybe. But it's also really good to be in there. And then for the diamond earners, there is that's the most limited one, which is pretty cool because you'll be able to be in a beta test group. So you'll be able to go test out the new features we'll be launching, such as the website, the dashboard, all the near features. They will need some testing, and you get the exclusive chance to be in that group while holding that NFT. So yeah, I say make up your mind and let's see what fits you. We'll be on shortly.
Yeah, exactly that. I think in terms of website, I think a link will come through. We have our NFT guy and our NFT specialist who has sort of been checking all that out and making sure it's the right place for us to sell them. So I think links will come through when we're sort of ready to do it. And yeah, all good.
Here's a question that I'm sure somebody's going to ask. Let's say we go to the website to get the NFT. Where's the NFT stored? Like, how can we, either move it or trade it or even just look at it? Like, will it all be connected to the website where we purchase it?
So as far as I'm aware, I mean, I'm not an NFT specialist, and I know more. I'm just going to make a solid guess that Tess isn't either. So I know when you go on certain wallets, like Trust Wallet, for instance, and I think MetaMask, it has an NFT, so you can sort of see them on there, and you can see what's associated with them and your collectibles. So I believe that you will buy them on the website and they can be stored there, because I'm ensuring it has some sort of internal wallet, and then you can transfer it out. But that will come with the message around all that side of things. Anything I say now, effectively, I'm just guessing. So we'll make sure that it's sort of quite clear when we do the sort of release, and we'll make sure that our NFT guy is given enough information that even I, as a non-NFT person, will understand it. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically it. We'll be sharing the latest, how you say, the explanation of the how-to and everything, besides also the link, of course, and we'll help you through the process. So right after, get everything ready, get it all set up, make sure your Wi-Fi is really fast, and I hope you all survive the FOMO.
Yeah.
And, I think we can round it up now. I'm not sure if there are any one or two burning questions. I think we answered them all.
I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, as always, it's been a pleasure. And we're always around. If you don't want, you can either, if you have any more questions, wait till the next AMA, or just ask in chat, or direct message one of us. Or I'm going to try and spend more time in the voice chat, especially as I'm spending less time in Telegram, in sort of chat in general. So we'll try and do maybe one a day, or once every other day. I'll be in there answering questions on a whim. So yeah, good speaking with all of you, and thank you all who submitted the questions. It's always great to have them on text, because it just lets us gauge like community want around certain questions. If we see multiple of the same one come in, we know we need to answer that. So yeah, thank you all for joining. It's been great, and I'll let Tess say goodbyes as well.
Yeah, well, I have not so much to add. It was a great goodbye, and I really loved being here with you all again. For great questions once again, and it was good having you here. I wish you a great day or night. Yeah.
I'd like to add something.
Okay.
I just want to say, as a small investor to this project, compared to your other competitors that have the same BNB reward pool, you guys are significantly undervalued, which is why I love this project more. I would compare you guys to HODL more than anything, but you guys have a better price compared to HODL. I also have some recommendations for some possible partnerships with other tokens, such as possibly Black Diamond or even Airdrop. They both have a big following, so I don't know who I would talk to about possibly.
I reckon he's a great person to speak to, and he sort of fields ideas, and then they'll bring them to us, and we can sort of have a look through them. And he's got a great sense of what will be good for the project as well. So I would speak to Mesu about that. I'll send you your at, or I'll send you his at, in fact. But thank you, that's very kind, and we'll make sure to look into that. And it's one of those things of being a newer token, is that you are always going to be slightly undervalued in your competition. And the weird thing about here is you can be the best token in the world and the best developers in the world, or whatever it is, and still have one holder. So I'm sure there are many better than us, and I'm sure there are many worse than us out there who are either bigger or smaller. But we're eternally grateful for you being here as part of our project, and it's great to have you here as well.
Thank you all for the energy and the nice questions, and I'm looking forward to the next AMA.
Thank you,
Tom and Jess. We'll pass forward all the follow-up questions to you guys in the mod chat for sure.
Sure. Okay, bye.
Love you. Thanks.
Love you.
Thanks again, Mark. Appreciate everything too.